Welcome to the Guy at the Movies podcast, episode 102, with special guest and internet fanboy favorite, Amber Heard. Just kidding. We have... People are obsessed with her, and it is getting ugly.
We just got on all of the TikToks.
Yeah. I was watching TikTok all day, and people are loving this this news that's out there.
Big fan of her.
Yeah, big fan of TikTok. But we are joined by Mr. Gaius from G Reels himself, and we will dive right into the episode after these brief messages from Who Better Than Us.
Everyone is part of the family at this point.
I didn't do my fan fiction idea that I had, so this movie was garbage. What is this?
You are a monster beyond all belief.
Put them all in the thing and then do the thing. You know what I mean?
How? You're lucky to have me back.
You're never gonna get 60 million people because you're not a Super Bowl. Shut up!
So chaotic.
Welcome to the Guy at the Movies podcast, episode 102. Sean, welcome. Good to see you. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great after a 1 week long illness that for once wasn't COVID.
Sean and I literally texted each other last week, and he was like, I'm not feeling well at all. I can't do it. I was like, oh my God, thank God you said it.
I slept for 24 hours straight, and so my wife is just like, I really think you have COVID. I'm like, we keep testing it. It's not that, apparently.
Yeah, as you're about to move into a new house next weekend. Perfect timing. Perfect timing. Mr. Gaius himself, G Reels, how are you? Great to see you. Glad to have you on.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. You guys already sound like a lot of fun, so I'm really excited about jumping on today.
Fun, ridiculous, it goes either way. I must warn
all of the above.
If a dinosaur pops up during this, just hold your hand up. You'll be fine.
You'll be fine.
You'll be fine.
Thank you, Chris Pratt.
Thank you, Chris Pratt. Pissed off Chris Pratt holding the hand up. So we have a number of things we want to dive into here tonight. But yes, first I want to mention you're back to the Blockbuster podcast. Had a lot of fun on it last week. Why don't you tell people what that's about and where else they can find you?
Well, I started back to the Blockbuster with my buddy Owen, and our buddy Jack just hopped on officially, like I think 3 episodes ago now. He was kind of on as like a special guest for a little bit, but now he's our permanent third. And basically it's since I work in entertainment for press, I come at it from that end. Jack has some connections in industry as well, and then Owen is just our regular movie guy who just likes to go to the movies and has a standard casual moviegoer opinion. So it works out really well with like the 3 different opinions kind of hitting on different topics and stuff. And I got back to the Blockbuster because I started the G Reels Instagram page 7 years ago now. And it was a combination of that and doing the news editing for Joe Blow. All kind of worked really well together. And I was approached about doing a podcast, and I didn't want to do it by myself. As you can clearly see, it's much better doing it with at least one other person. So it's been a lot of fun. It's been fun because I've gotten to connect with like a lot of people like you guys, and we've had a bunch of different guests on our show that it's just been a lot of fun, and everyone's uber supportive. So it's really cool. I'm having a lot of fun doing it. It's a little stressful at times, trying to juggle 3 different things plus other real work too outside of all this. But we all do it because we love movies and entertainment, so that it makes it worth it, and we're having a good time doing it.
Absolutely. Hey, there was a guy on your podcast the other night where you asked him what he does. He's like, I have this podcast, that podcast, this podcast.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh my God.
Derek. So like the first time we had Derek on, I was like, I saw a list and I was like, well, do you just want to like plug like 3 of these? And he's like, no, I can get through it real quick. And he did pretty quick the first time. And then since it was so funny that he kind of dropped them all the last time he was on, I was like, you know what, just talk about all the things you're doing. And we're gonna put that link tree up, and whatever one they want to go to, they'll go to by the time they wrap up the episode. But it was so much. You guys were like a lot of fun. Like that my face hurt from laughing so hard. It was a really fun discussion.
Yeah, it was like really late when we ended here, and I couldn't sleep because I was just I was like still so like, amped up and stuff. So
yeah,
typical, but whatever. It was for a good cause. It was fun. Sean, how's the moving going?
I mean, this room is still pretty secure. They're like, it's just we've been moving little things for a whole week. just like, like cars full of boxes of things. And there's still a lot here. And it mystifies me that we have this much stuff in a house. And we're going into a bigger house, and it already seems like it's crowded in there. So the math is not adding up, which is bothering me on many levels. But I don't know, man. I just, this weekend is the official move where we're moving the beds. Like, because right now both places are uninhabitable because we don't have any like supplies here, and we don't have any supplies there either. So it's like we can't go anywhere.
You're like in a weird limbo right now.
Listen, moving from apartment to apartment is the worst. I can't imagine moving into a house and having to deal with all that and actually being responsible for it.
Well, and this is the thing, I thought it would be great to like move in, like, oh, cool, we're gonna like move in for like a month. This is gonna be good. We can like, instead of like an intense one weekend endeavor, and this is worse. Like, I want that one stressful weekend now to get this over with.
Well, more power to you. It's going to be great once you're in, and you're not having any issues watching any movies or TV shows. I've seen that.
I mean, what's really been pissing me off is that there's only been like one new movie a week, and now there's like 5 coming out this weekend. And it's like I will not have the ability to see them. Come on.
Well, maybe by the end of this, we'll be able to rank what you should see. That would be helpful, right? Well, listen, we need to start off and talk about the biggest trailer we got probably within the past couple of weeks, and this was Black Adam, the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson DC film that's been in the works for quite a long time. And listen, I'm impressed with the trailer, but we have someone here who was with the man himself, and I think, guys, tell us a little bit about that experience.
So I got a crazy email from my editor-in-chief like 3 weeks ago, and he was like, hey, like they're doing, I didn't even know they actually did this. They're doing like a trailer premiere on the Warner Brothers lot for Black Adam. I was like, oh, just for like 2.5 minutes? He's like, yeah. It's a big thing. And I was like, all right. He's like, are you available? Because you're in LA. Like, do you want to go? And I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, of course I'll go. And then there's this like another long email comes in. He's like, just so you know, like, you didn't really have the option to like say no, because what I kind of left out was it wasn't just like they invited our outlet to go to this thing. Like, you were on a list of Dwayne Johnson's like approved journalists to go to this. So there were like maybe 20 of us that went, and you can tell like what the kind of sites that were invited, like they kind of catered to like the comic book movies and stuff. It was like Collider and Cinema Blend and comicbook.com. So he's like, I guess he was very strategic about who he wanted to kind of promote it to first. So yeah, we all sat in a theater on the Warner Brothers lot, watched the trailer twice, like in a row. And then we were ushered into another room, basically like as intimate as a Q&A as you can get. Like, we were super close to him and his producing partner, and this very lovely moderator named Tiffany Smith. Like, she had so much energy, big DC Comics fan. She was really good at kind of leading the charge on getting all the questions out. But yeah, he ran this whole Q&A about like the making of the movie and like what he kind of expects from it and how long he's been like working on it. I didn't realize that it's been like a passion project of his for like better part of a decade. And, he was just saying that, one person asked him, is it weird for you to kind of play kind of an anti-hero? Because we're not really used to seeing The Rock kind of do that. And he kind of looks at this as an opportunity to stretch himself as an actor and like do something like a bit different. And, judging from the trailer, I mean, I watched it twice there, and of course I watched it a few times at home. It does feel a little different from the stuff that he's done in the past a bit. Like, there's not a lot of like, quippy rock stuff, and like, it does seem like something that is going to be really unique to that genre. And I'm kind of like, I was most impressed by like the visuals in the trailer were just all so really good. And I think just hearing about their passion about making it, that was kind of what got me. That if I was on the fence, like, oh, I'm not sure how I feel about this, like they seem so passionate about like putting something really credible out there, and they really care. They talked about all the meetings they had with like Warner Brothers and DC, and they had like a lot of. I was surprised like they expressed all the freedom they kind of had. They didn't really get like messed with a lot, I guess, while they were making it. But I guess that's when when you have Dwayne Johnson and
Yeah,
you don't really interfere much.
He kind of runs shit.
But it was it was cool. Like we all got to meet him and talk to him for a bit. He shook my hand and like it felt like he broke it. But unfortunately we couldn't do any video in the room, but I do have like, because I had to do like the audio to transcribe the whole event later. Yeah. So I still have that audio saved on my phone, and he gave us all like swag bags with his tequila and our very own Black Adam action figure and some other small little things and he was just saying that like this is kind of just the beginning. Like the people that are invited like are gonna get to go on this ride of like getting to do like the press and stuff for when the movie comes out. So it's That's awesome. It was really exciting. I don't know how I ended up on his list. I've never like interviewed him or done anything like that with him, but I'm not going to complain about it, and I'm just going to accept the fact that I was on it and just be happy that I was.
Hey, with some of the people that I don't think were there, that's really impressive that you made the cut. That's awesome. You know, like just given some of the, let's say, the louder, more frequent superhero people.
Yeah. Yes. That's what we'll say.
that's where we'll leave that. I have to be honest. The vocal, yeah. I have to be honest. Listen, it's well documented that I like the Zack Snyder movies, but I will say that this gave me Man of Steel vibes. Just with the visuals, with the way it opened with the spaceship, with some of the comedy bits that were thrown in there to kind of lighten the mood a little bit. Sean, I don't know what you thought when you saw it as a resident comic book man who doesn't know anything about comic books. You were on the list. How the hell did that happen?
I was on the list.
I just couldn't make it.
The Rock would be like, this is going to be fun.
Well, if I was on the list, I would have been like, thank you, and then was hoping for the "you're welcome." Oh my God. So I would get kicked out.
Oh man!
What did you think of the trailer, Sean?
Boy, I mean, like I was torn in half with this one because like after I watched it, I was just like, wow, that seemed like kind of like a run-of-the-mill superhero movie. And then there was this like inner voice that I think now Joe has just implanted in me that's just like, shut up, dude. Look at what you're seeing. You're seeing these amazing like spectacles of superhero magic and everything. And so there is a portion of me that's saying, you know what, this does still look cool, but I don't know. I was kind of unimpressed by the trailer, which doesn't seem like a fair reaction because everything they did, they still did proper. Like they showed the story, they showed some cool effects, they like, you know, showed some suspenseful moments. But I don't know, for some reason, it just really didn't like, you know, separate anything from what I usually see in a superhero movie. Now, I'm still rooting for it because I really want Dwayne Johnson to do well. And even in movies where he's like, or excuse me, even where movies that are not good, he's just got this charisma that's amazing. So like you can't really fight it. And so I'm ready for that, especially.
Yeah, I get that. I completely understand where you're coming from. The one thing I keep thinking about is this is the first trailer. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, if they're comfortable showing this in the first trailer, I wonder what else is going to go on in this movie that we're not even seeing yet. I'm sure we'll get like a final trailer as we get closer and some TV spots and stuff because it is a superhero movie after all. But yeah, I'm pretty excited for it. I gotta say, he seems like, and from what I've read, and yes, I don't know if he spoke about this at all, but he's very committed to playing this role and like helping build DCEU down the road.
Yeah, he made a point to say, like, one of the last questions he was asked, you know, when you sign on for like movies like this, it's usually for multiple ones. You know, there's always like you're looking at the future, and he said that he is dedicated to doing all this storytelling more down the line, and not just like with more like Black Adam movies, but he really wants to expand the whole like DC universe. Like he's very committed to doing that because I originally he was saying that like, you know, they were going to have Shazam and Black Adam in the same movie, and they were going to be like, it's going to be two origin stories. And then he said that he read the script and he was like, it's just too much in one movie. Like they both have unique origin stories and they deserve their own films to kind of properly tell that story. So it was decided like pretty early on that they were going to separate the two, and that probably worked out for the best because, you know, like sometimes those movies can get really overstuffed, and like it's probably good that they're just focusing on one person. You know, some people were like kind of concerned, like, well, does the general public know much about Black Adam, and how are you going to convince them to kind of go see this? And he said that there is enough for like the fans of Black Adam to be satisfied, but also if you're uninitiated, you would be perfectly okay with what you're saying. So like you won't be like left out. Like it's gonna be and that was important for him too, because he knows that some people are coming to these movies just as movie fans and not necessarily like comic book fans. So you have to please both fan bases a bit, and he said that they are. So.
And also, The Rock is starring in it. Like, that's the other big thing it has going for it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you were talking about like the charisma thing, like on full display in person. The guy is very charismatic, and like the whole like, I mean, there were like 20 of us, maybe a little over 20 of us in that room, and he made us all feel like he was just so happy we were there, and we were like, it was like he kind of like. It was almost like he could just point us out all by name and like all that stuff too. He just really was like, "You're here because I want you to be here, because you like deserve to be here." And I was like, "Thank you." Like, how do you not get like so much? How do you not like it?
It's always fascinating because I don't want to go too far down this road, but what it came out like, a few years back that he would like, he was filing the papers to run for president. It's like, I mean, he could be pretty damn successful at it. Like he just like everyone loves him. Like
Jesus. That's
really good.
That's Guy at the Politics podcast.
We start that. That would go so well.
I used to have a politics podcast with friends for like a year. After Donald Trump was elected, we called it "Searching for a Savior." it's still out there. We chose
downloading the shit out of that.
We chose a different potential candidate each time.
Oh, that's hilarious.
It was good until like one of us moved, and then it kind of went to shit, and then we all were like depressed every week, so it was a bad thing. Anyway, listen, I'm looking forward to it. The biggest question I have though, guys, how was the tequila?
Oh,
it's so good. It's so smooth. I had it at home, and then I was like, I don't drink alone, so I'm not gonna just like do that. So I managed a restaurant too. So I told one of my friends, I was like, hey, I'm gonna bring it in and just like kind of share it with some of you guys. And but don't put it behind the bar, because like there are certain people that work behind the bar that be like, ooh, did we just get this in? And would like give it to guys. But no, it's amazing. It's really good. And like I can't really like sip tequila on the rocks, but that was actually I could. It was it went down really smooth. So good he's good at everything.
Everyone has tequila, gin, like man, let's just get the full lineup.
I know, right?
I want that gin when Green Lantern 2 comes out, or when the Adam Project 2 comes out from Ryan Reynolds. All right, let's dive into what we've been watching. A lot going on. Some movies have come out the past couple weeks, a lot of streaming and a lot of festival work. I'll start off here, and I'm going to start off with Lightyear, the movie that 1,000+ people did not flip out at me for on TikTok. I won't get into too many details. I didn't care for the movie. I didn't like it. I thought it was a miss for a property that was established in terms of the character of Buzz Lightyear. I thought they could have done a lot more. I found the supporting characters to be very annoying. The story, I really did not care for them. The story itself just seemed like it was kind of like half cooked. And the explanation, or I guess the development of Zurg as the villain really bothered me. And it also kind of like, I said this to someone right after the film. I was like, I don't know. And right away he was like, it's because it kind of like climaxed too quick, right? And like it was over. And I was like, yep.
I mean, we can't really judge anybody on that. I mean,
yeah, but listen, I'm not paying $13.95 for it.
Oh man.
The other I've been watching, or I'm actually going to mention two others real quick. One is just a plug for an interview I did today that was absolutely a blast for a film called A Sexplanation with writer-director Alex Liu. And Alex Liu is a openly gay man who just realized like he's very interested in the social commentary around sex and why it's so taboo to talk about and why we're kind of like raised with shame and stuff like that. So he goes on this hilarious journey talking to scientists and therapists and politicians and priests, and then his parents. And it is just highly entertaining. It is very informative and just really smart. And I had such a great time chatting with him today. It was so funny. He's really an intelligent guy and really, I think, has tapped into something that's pretty fascinating in terms of society. So recommend that. The interview is on my YouTube. But the other film that I saw at Tribeca that I absolutely adored also had a really good interview for this one. It's called The Drop. So the premise is out there, so I'm going to tell you what the premise of this is. The premise is that this couple who's trying to have a baby go on a vacation with their friends, and two of the friends are getting married. When the woman in the relationship of our main couple holds the baby, she drops the baby. So thus it's called The Drop.
The Drop.
And it's just all about kind of like everything after that and the awkwardness, and it's cringe, but it's so funny. And Jermaine Fowler stars in it. Jermaine Fowler from Coming to America, most well known there, the comedian as well. He's such a delight to talk to. So funny in this. Pen 15's Anna Corkle is in this as well.
Oh yes.
Aparna Nancharla from Search Party. Who else am I forgetting? Jillian Bell's in this.
Oh my god.
It's such a good little cast, and it's one of those movies that I went in not knowing anything, and I was losing my mind laughing. I haven't laughed like that in quite a while. So definitely recommend that. I'm assuming it's going to be the talk of the town with Tribeca, and then also probably get picked up shortly here because it's just really good.
Nice.
Yeah, Tribeca has some good ones. I'm kind of on a documentary kick with Tribeca, which I realized last night after like my third or fourth in a row. But yeah, a lot of good quality content this year. Sean, two very different movies you saw.
Oh yeah. Oh god, yeah. So I punted Hustle because I want Gayes to talk about that one, and I'll chime in there for that. And I talked like a little more than a week ago. I saw Crimes of the Future. Dan Cronenberg, Jesus, David Cronenberg's new movie. Man, is this a fascinating movie? I'm like so grateful this exists.
Oh god,
it's not terribly good, but it was a little bit like the pacing was rather slow. I think it was too odd for its own good. But it was just such a fascinating premise where people no longer feel pain and we're evolving to just grow organs. And now surgery has become like the new sex and the new porn. And it's like, just to think of it, it's become like these performance art situations. And like Viggo Mortensen gets operated on and everybody's watching and they're just like, fascinated. Like people get their like faces carved up so they can look like good on the inside and stuff. Like their inner beauty will be part of it. This was like an absolutely bonkers movie that like is really like just like cool and fascinating. And I think I watched the entire thing with one eyebrow raised because it was just the weirdest movie. I gave it a C just because I didn't know what to give it. Like I was just like, I've got to go down the middle on this one because there is no way. Like if people hated this movie, I can understand. If people love this movie, I can understand. It was just the coolest thing. It's just so like crazy and fascinating, and I love the premise. I think more than the movie, which is interesting. And everybody, in the words of a Jurassic Park line, hold on to your butts because I saw RRR in this movie. Man. It's a 3-hour. Okay, I'm going to call it a Bollywood, but it's technically not a Bollywood. It's a Tollywood. No, I don't know what that means. But like it's like you could argue that it has the Bollywood style there. It's about the Indian Revolution, but it is entirely fictionalized with like actual characters that or actual like real people from it, but they never actually met. But in this one, they have a buddy cop drama. It's akin to like an Inglourious Bastards type of rewriting like the fiction or rewriting the history. But it is this insane action musical with just like, them like, jumping in insane, like gravity defying stunts, along with like tigers and like just wolves that they're like running. They're able to run through all that stuff. At its heart, it's actually a very simple story. It like does very well. It's on Netflix dubbed in Hindi. Technically there is a more native language that is like more proper, but it's straight up not available on Netflix. That's available only in theaters that way. But I absolutely loved this movie. I loved it. You can't go too serious with it, but even then, this is just like the most like bombastic like Hollywood throw up in the world, and it's just like pure fun and energy driven. Like absolutely, it will be like just like a nutty thing, and I hope India submits it for best foreign language film. I doubt they will, but it would be
Interesting.
Oh man.
Okay, so what had you been watching?
Well, I watched. I'll start with the good one first. I watched Hustle over the weekend, and I don't know how I missed this when they were talking about the movie. I don't know why I assumed that it was just going to be like a Adam Sandler comedy, like leading up to it coming out. Yeah. And then all the reviews were like really good, and I was like, where are all these good reviews coming from? What is this? And then I was like, oh, it has more of like a serious like tone to it, and it was really good. The interesting thing about Adam Sandler. I'm not like a huge, and I know it's gonna like I feel like I'm betraying my generation. I'm not like a huge fan of his brand of comedy. Like I've never been like into like Billy Madison or like Happy Gilmore. I'm more
classics.
But I'm more of like I need him to be like subdued. I'm more of like a wedding singer kind of person where it's like dial it back just a little bit. But I also appreciate when he does stuff like Punch Drunk Love or Uncut Gems or something like this, where it's like, all right, this guy has. When he wants to like put in the effort, has an immense amount of talent. He's like really diverse. He can really do a lot of different things. And, I thought he was really, really good in this. I never would have thought that if I was thinking of pairing like husband and wife, I've never been like Adam Sandler and Queen Latifah, but they have like a pretty genuine like connection in it too. I don't know. I was really impressed by, most of it. And like a lot of like sports movies it does kind of have some of the general like cliches of like basketball sports movie, but I still thought it was handled really well. And you can tell, since Adam Sandler loves basketball, that there is a lot of like heart that kind of went into like getting this made too. So you can just tell that like on the screen. So I really really enjoyed it. And like I was, Netflix is kind of hit or miss with their original movies, and I thought this one was a hit for them. So thoroughly enjoyed it.
Let me tell you, I don't know if this really comes across for anyone that's not familiar with like Philadelphia 76ers, but it is like a love letter to the Philadelphia 76ers. And seeing it in Philadelphia, like so I was at the Philly premiere, and Sandler was there. A lot of the stars were there. A lot of the Sixers were there. Like it was just such a cool environment, because even just sitting around, people were pointing out like, oh, look, like that's the Wells Fargo Center. Or, oh, look, that's that. But I got to share this. Sean, stop me if I didn't share this because we didn't have a podcast last week. No. There's one. So my biggest challenge with this movie is that I know where they're filming, right? So there's two things that they film, and they call it something else. One is simple.
And you're like, no.
Yeah. One, it's the second Comcast tower they built a few years ago. They use it as like the hotel when they go up to New York. And I'm like, nope, like that's literally right downtown. But the other one, this one got me so much. When he's taking him to the airport at the end and he's going up the escalator, that's the escalator for the Wells Fargo Center. That's in the Wells Fargo Center. They just redecorated it. Like those flags that were up there that said Philadelphia, for Flyers games, it's Flyers players. For Sixers games, it's Sixers players. And they just had the people, like they kind of redecorated it, right? So the whole time I'm like, that's how I get to my damn seats. Like it was just so weird. But that happens so commonly, but Anyway, sorry, a tangent.
Oh, no, it's okay.
I think one of the best parts about it is we look at Adam Sandler's dramatic roles, which I think he does a great job in, but this was him sort of playing a more everyman. Yeah. I mean, you think about Punch Drunk Love as Barry Egan, where he's just like almost like a completely just like not an actual human character. And then you look at Uncut Gems, where that's just a larger than life character. In this, he's a down on his luck dude. He's like, but he's doing okay. He's not this like dark figure. There's nothing like too complex about him, but he's still just like this good guy trying to make something work.
Uncut Gems.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it makes me wonder like what he wants this next stage of his career to be like. Is it more like I want to do stuff like this, or is he still comfortable just kind of doing the typical Adam Sandler thing? And well, I mean, it's a very lucrative thing for him. I mean, like the stuff he does with Netflix is. They're all successful, and I think he's one of the first like bigger stars to like kind of like go away from like the theatrical releases and started doing stuff with them. And even if you don't like all the stuff he's put out with them, like, you know, he knows his audience and he knows his niche. So I can't hate on that too much.
Hubie Halloween.
Oh god, yeah, like that. And then I also I saw Jurassic World Dominion, and all I asked was for it to be better than Fallen Kingdom, and I thought that wasn't much to ask. And I came out of it like, so I wanted to really like it. Like I didn't want to agree with like what other critics were saying about it, and I went in with like lowered expectations, like, well, maybe it'll just be fun. And I don't know, I thought it had like pacing issues in like the first hour. I mean, it did pick up eventually, and there were some fun like set pieces and stuff, but like even some of like the dinosaur action that should have been fun just feels like kind of old and stale now. It doesn't really hit the way it used to, and I kind of was upset that it didn't really live up to the ending tease in Fallen Kingdom as much as I wanted it to. Like they kind of touched on that, and then it goes into like, oh well, there's cloning and like crazy shit with locusts, and like there's a bunch of other stuff that we're gonna focus on too. And I love seeing the original characters back from Jurassic Park, but I kind of wish that they would have converged with the characters from Jurassic World a lot sooner than they did. Like the movie was almost like halfway over by the time that actually happened. And I also kind of thought Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard, like I liked them normally, but they just kind of felt like they were there. Like they really like were like, it's like they were almost like phoning it in a little bit. I was actually more impressed whenever they had like Sam Neill or Laura Dern or Jeff Goldblum on screen, just because, you know, maybe it's just like the nostalgia part of it and just seeing them again all together. But like, yeah, there was something about like that energy that like Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard had, like in Jurassic World back in 2015, it just really didn't feel like they had that much anymore. I don't know. I was just expecting more, and I really didn't want to join the chorus of like people not liking it. But you know what? I could be wrong. I got an A- cinema score, just like Fallen Kingdom. just like Fallen Kingdom. Fallen Kingdom got one too, and it still made like $145 million over the weekend. So I could be wrong. I know you liked it, didn't you?
Joe liked it, yeah.
I recognize the faults. I said it was a mess. I said it was chaotic. I had fun with it. I had a lot of fun. It's what I wanted. Like going to it was beat into me when I was younger by my father, who loves these movies, that it's like, you're going to see fucking dinosaurs. Like at the end of the day, it's dinosaurs. And I was telling him last night, though, we talked about this a little bit on the podcast, guys, that there's nobody gets chomped. Or maybe it wasn't this one. I've been on like 2 podcasts talking about this recently, but nobody gets like eaten essentially, except for like the dudes at the beginning outside the black market, whatever.
The lovely innocent tourist that's just like on a Vespa. It's like, oh my god, there's like 100 villains. Get them.
I was on the Lambcast the other day, and she said to me, she's like, at one point, or she said to the group, at one point, I looked at the screen and I was like, all 6 of them are still here. That's too many. And like, it seemed like when Jeff Goldblum was like waving away the dinosaur, I was like, oh no, they're gonna do it. He's getting chomped, and then nope, just runs around them.
I think one of the main issues with this movie was that, it's tough to, talk about which one like was worse, Dominion or Fallen Kingdom.
Fallen Kingdom was far worse.
Horrible.
I will not allow this to be spoken here.
I was sitting in that theater for Fallen Kingdom, begging for it to end. Dominion, at least, I was like, okay, this isn't great, but like I'm in this. But what the problem with Dominion is that it relied on a lot of the stuff from Fallen Kingdom. Like a lot of the plot lines from Fallen Kingdom. I'm like, how about they just forget about all that stuff? Yeah. Like maybe the clone just doesn't get. Maybe they just did that because nobody remembered it.
I honestly was like, clone. It took me a little bit to be like, oh yeah, I guess we did find out about that. Oh man.
Yeah, it just falls back on the whole like dinosaurs are dope thing that we were talking about on the podcast on my podcast last week. It's just like because I felt like the early reaction to the movie, like the early social media reaction, was like more mixed, and then I would go on Twitter like throughout the weekend, and I was seeing a lot of like, everybody shut up, just shut off your brain and just enjoy it. It's fun. So I was like, all right, maybe I'm wrong, but I just didn't I just expected more from it. I
If,
feel like that's fair.
if you're shutting off your brain for it, that still makes it a bad movie.
Yeah.
Shutting your brain off for it. Like, okay, that's cool, that's fun. It's you shut off your brain for it, but it still makes it a bad movie.
It's a popcorn flick. That's a popcorn flick. That's what it is. So, but hey, we're gonna get more Jurassic World in some sense because they're making the money. So
Someone said it already, and I can't get it out of my head. 100%. The most popular character is I might butcher her name, but Deonda Wise, the pilot.
Wise, yeah.
They're gonna do a spin-off
like
with her as like a pilot in some sort of Jurassic Park situation because everyone likes her and
Everyone they like her.
they want to get rid of all the other characters now, and they'll just have like a spin-off with her.
Her or Ramsey. Like I would love to see more with was that his name
great.
in there? Ramsey. He was awesome.
Yeah.
I was so into him. They kind of like underdeveloped. Which I'm getting them confused. This is really like pompous. I was on another podcast this week, and they were. I was thinking if it was with you guys, but it wasn't.
So many shows.
I know, so booked and blessed. So somebody made this comment, and they're like, I would like to talk to one person that didn't catch that he was in on it from the beginning, Ramsey, and I was like,
Oh.
I didn't catch it.
There's even one scene where like they kind of have him lurking in the back slightly with like this weird, like almost like cartoonish like squint. And I thought
he definitely was shifty from.
Well, and then when people like recall it when they're explaining why, and they're like, "Remember when they said you're free to roam, but don't go over there because that takes you to the sub levels that you're not supposed to go to." I'm like, okay, that makes sense now in hindsight.
That one's good. Yeah,
maybe that's. All right, let's dive into the news of the week, and we will, of course, tell you what's coming out this week to keep an eye on, and what will be keeping Sean from moving into his house this weekend at the end of the episode. Sam's going to kill me. He's going
to kill me. She blames no one but me.
Makes sense, but a little bit of breaking news here. Look at those graphics. Earlier tonight, we said we weren't going to report on this, but I have a two-source rule when it comes to reporting on certain news, unless it comes from a certain top 3 sites for me. But anyway, there was news that broke earlier through a outlet that I don't consider very reputable that said that Amber Heard had been removed from the Aquaman 2 and the Lost Kingdom film, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. This is kind of crazy because if you have followed along with all of the obsession around Amber Heard and Johnny Depp from their trial, there was a lot of back and forth about like, oh, another screening was held and her time was bumped up, and oh, another screening was held and her time was like drastically diminished. Long story short, Variety is now reporting that the news earlier today that she had been completely removed is false, and that she has not been cut from the movie. Quote, the rumor mill continues as it has from day one. This is a spokeswoman for Heard, but there's another source that told Variety it's not true. The source for Amber Heard said the rumor mill continues as it has from day one, inaccurate, insensitive, and slightly insane. And I kind of agree with the latter there. I've said this from the beginning. People are way too fucking obsessed with this.
Yeah, they are. They really are.
But this kind of go ahead, sorry guys.
No, I was just like, if it's true that she's only in it for 10 minutes, just let her have her 10 minutes, and it's fine. Like, I don't think it's going to affect. I mean, unless people really don't like her that much, it's not going to affect box office too much. Like, I think whatever Jason Momoa brings trumps whatever Amber Heard would like bring to your negative viewing experience of that Aquaman sequel.
And slight spoiler alert, I guess, but this has been out there for a while. Apparently, she'll give birth in the movie, like near the beginning. And
okay.
Sean,
fish people have sex.
Don't say that like it's obvious. I haven't seen the Sexplanation documentary yet. I don't know that. So
that's in the follow-up.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's got to be a little bit of an addendum.
But people were joking around about this, but it makes so much sense. Just kill her character off. during that, you know, like at the end of that. It's an easy I don't mean to sound so like flippant with it, but that's an easy out.
She can't just take care of the baby. like off screen.
That's how they took care of Paul Walker. They just like killed him with fatherhood. Like they just like had him like
they really did, and then had to have Mia come in that last one like, yeah, he's okay with me risking my life, even though we have like a kid. And, like I can hang out with you. Like
I'll stay home.
Oh, you can stay home. Yeah, you serious?
Well, let's shelve Amber Heard for 1 second and switch gears to a connected story in a way. But this is around Ezra Miller. So the latest with Ezra Miller is that they have some grooming allegations against them. They cannot be located or served. And the LA Times is also reporting that I think it's an 18-year-old young woman who is apparently being groomed in like a cultish behavior by Ezra Miller. Apparently they have been I almost said adopted. They have been abducted by them, is what the parents are claiming. This, of course, in addition to a lot of the other claims that we've seen years ago. We saw, I think it was in Iceland, New Zealand or Iceland, probably Iceland. Iceland, where I
think it's like a year or two ago. Yeah,
body slammed the girl essentially, or like choke slammed the girl.
Was like the first thing,
yeah.
Where they choke slam the girl, and then there's also there was incidents recently where they had restraining orders taken out against them, and stuff like that. It has really just continued to bubble, and I think the internet is collectively like, all right, it's probably time. But first of all, what are your thoughts on whether or not Warner Brothers should act at this point? Sean, with Ezra, what do you think?
Oh no! Now the Harry Potter movies will be bad.
No,
oh no!
No, I mean at this point it's replace them. That's what you have to do. It will cost a ton of money. It'll like almost like be a nightmare in budgeting. But you can't promote a film from prison. You can't promote a film when you're hiding from the cops. I don't. It's just one of these things where at this point, this is one that these are not anymore like accusations or he said, she said like situations anymore. This is concrete evidence. Like this is like legit situations where it has to be someone else. And I know that I am sensitive to the fact that would be like an absolute nightmare logistically and financially, but it would also be an absolute nightmare financially and pretty much logistically to have this movie try to come out with them in it. And so if there's like, I don't even know where things are. Has stuff been filmed? Like, yes, right?
Yeah,
the Flash?
It's completely, it's completely shot.
Yeah,
it's done.
Okay, so like, that's a real bummer. But I mean, it's one of those things where like, you can't release this. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm being unrealistic here, but I can't see it happening.
Well, I want to say in terms of the Fantastic Beasts movies, I think they have an out with him at the end of this last one. Should they continue the Fantastic Beasts movies? He could just die off screen, and they could die off screen, and that would be it.
Just chilling with Albaforth or whatever, right?
Aberforth, the asshole.
That was pretty much what I said. I was off by like close. A couple of consonants.
Alberforth. You combined Albus and Aberforth.
They'll go run the bar together. It'll be like Cheers. It'll be my brother.
Unbelievable. Gaius, in terms of the Flash and with Ezra Miller and everything they have going on, what are your thoughts on what Sean said and then the story in general?
So we're basically a year out until it comes out, right? It's supposed to come out in June of 2023. So before all this, I thought maybe some damage control could be done to kind of like, like, hey, we're going to get them some help and make sure they stay out of the spotlight for a little bit. And because everyone also likes a redemption story too. But stuff keeps happening like over and over again. And I can just imagine just being in the offices at Warner Brothers, just like them tearing their hair out. Cause they're like, they're like, how do we like promote this like huge tentpole release? Like, and Variety has said like the early screenings for The Flash have been positive. Like they've been really good. And so it's like, and I'm guessing it's like a $200 million movie, and they can't reshoot it with someone else because that would cost a lot of money to like completely redo it. And there's also a scheduling thing with like other actors who are in it. So like they have to keep what they have. I would assume, since this doesn't seem like it's getting any better, that it would be good for them to maybe announce that they are going to replace them, and maybe down the line, like if there's another movie, they won't be playing him anymore. That's the only thing I can think of. I mean, some people brought up to me the whole like Kevin Spacey thing from that where he was replaced by Christopher Plummer in that one movie, but that was a supporting role, right? Yeah. And like I think he did it in like 7 days, or like, and that's a lot easier to do. They said that Ezra Miller is almost in every scene. The movie. But what I also saw it kind of bring up on like social media is it seems like they're giving them more of a pass to like, well, let's see if we can work this out. Like we don't want to replace them yet. We want to see what happens. And like other people were pointing out, well, like other people don't really get that kind of chance sometimes. They kind of hit some kind of controversy and then it's like, right, they're done. And I don't necessarily buy into just like jumping into cancel culture either, but they aren't doing anything to indicate that any of this is going to get better. And I know this situation that they're in now, there's a lot of because I don't know if you've seen the Instagram stuff that the 18-year-old posted. She basically says that like Ezra Miller is her comrade and that her parents are manipulating the situation, and that, but if you watch the videos, it doesn't sound like someone that's speaking for themselves. And that is just my opinion on it. It does sound like a girl that is completely brainwashed. I know they have her going by the name Gibson now, and they're saying that she's also non-binary transgender. Like he's all this other stuff that like that's going on with that whole situation now. And you know, like some people point out, well, she's 18, but I guess like where they're from, they still have like legal guardianship, which is why they were able to get the protective order. They just haven't been able to serve it to them because they can't. They could be in Hawaii or Vermont or California. Those are all the places that they kind of listed that Ezra Miller has been lately. And then the mom said that they tried to do a welfare check on their daughter in California, and Ezra Miller allegedly like attacked the mother. So there's like all this stuff that's just like coming out more and more, and it's just like it has to be like a huge liability to kind of, you can't build a franchise around someone like that unless they can completely turn it around in a year. And I really, it doesn't seem like I just don't see it happening. I mean, but there's nothing the studio can really do about what they have now.
I heard the Flash gives birth in this movie, so maybe they could just have them die after that.
Someone just say something.
Someone just say something.
There were rumors that gained traction too. They were like turned out to be false, unless they were like having no discussions and they got out and they weren't supposed to. But Dylan O'Brien was the name that got brought up about replacing Ezra Miller, which would be fine by me. I've always thought Grant Gustin should have just been the Flash in the movies. You already have like a built-in fan base from the shows. Why not just usher him on in? And my friends are like, well, Grant Gustin is tired of playing him. I was like, you give him a sweet movie deal, he's suddenly not tired anymore. He'll do it.
I think that if they were able to mix that up with Grant Gustin and basically say like he's like, I don't know, some Speed Force shit, and he ends up being like, you know, the new Flash for this world or this universe or whatever, totally for that, just because they've done such a or they've taken the steps to make sure the TV was separated from the movies all along,
right?
You know, and with Superman and Lois, with Arrow, with all that stuff. So I feel like they need to have a better plan and not just try to like, you know, shoot
push him,
throw shit at the wall like they usually do. Let me ask you this question, both of you. There's new leadership at WB who has been cleaning house, which is not really respectful to all of the people that have left, because some of them have done really good things. Some of them have left kind of on their own accord, realizing that like it was the end of the line in terms of the, you know, creativity and stuff there. And if you are David Zaslav, who has just stepped into this leadership role, you're trying to figure out how to utilize DC moving forward and how to really maximize the IP that you have under the DC umbrella. Do you take a loss here with things like Amber Heard in Aquaman, with Ezra Miller in The Flash? Do you release Black Adam, which I'm going to go out on a limb here and say is going to be a hit for them? Do you release Black Adam? Do you release Batgirl when it comes out in, I think December it's scheduled for? Do you keep moving forward with Blue Beetle? But do you take these big ones? Because The Flash is a movie they have to get right? That's a movie that's taking all the shit that came before and they keep saying like it's essentially going to satisfy people when it comes to Zack Snyder and all the different directions that they've gone. It's never going to satisfy them, but it's going to deal with it. If they were to say we're taking a 12-month delay, we're taking a 9-month delay, we're pausing, we're reshooting The Flash, we're reworking scenes in Aquaman, it's going to come out instead of in December or whenever it's scheduled in, it's going to come out in June or whatever. It's going to take The Flash's date. Would you be okay with that?
I mean,
we've been waiting this long already. I mean,
okay, let's wait a little bit longer for these things. It's not like a season of television where we've forgotten what happens after like 5 years of the past season because of like some sort of COVID break. It's just so difficult for me to imagine the Flash doing his witty little banter that could get kind of annoying and stuff like that, and just be like, all right, I know what's going on with them, and it's really tough for me to separate that. And I think it's going to be tough for a lot of people. That would involve people seeing it and everything like that. I don't know if there'll be like massive boycotts or anything, but
there's petitions out there.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah. I suspect it would still do well, but I think it would be really hard to have Ezra Miller promote it at all.
Yeah.
How do you do like a press junket with Ezra Miller? And they were so unpredictable. Like it's just like main star, like is a huge PR nightmare. It's just like what do you do?
It's not like Ansel Elgort that you were able to like just sideline with West Side Story or with Armie Hammer in Death on the Nile, who you were able to get away with not being there. This is the literal star of your film who has played the character in other films. I don't know. I just kind of look at it like this. If they were to come out and say, given all the shit that DC has had, right? All the shit that they've dealt with, if they were to come out and say, here's our plan. If they were ever to come out and say, we have a plan, I'd be like, yes, you win.
We never have a plan.
If they were to come out and just be honest and recognize what's going on in some way, like, PR snazz that up, and say like we're taking this opportunity to rework how we're moving forward, I'd be all for that. Mm-hmm. I'd absolutely be all for that, and I think it would be the right move. I also want to share, and not forget or not lose sight of the fact that Ezra Miller clearly needs help. They clearly need help. And someone shared this, and it came across my Twitter feed today, and I thought it was really fascinating and a good example of what should be done in situations like this. I don't know if either of you are or ever have been wrestling fans. But AEW, there's a wrestler, Jeff Hardy, who's been in WWE and stuff like that. He has some stuff going on, and they released a statement and said, we were able to resume contact with Jeff Hardy this afternoon. AEW does not condone Jeff's alleged behavior. We made it clear to Jeff that we'll assist him in getting treatment for substance abuse issues, which he has indicated he's open to receiving. In the interim, he is suspended without pay, and he can only return to AEW upon successfully completing treatment and maintaining his sobriety. If you or a loved one needs help, and then gives a resource. I thought that was that's a masterclass in how to handle a situation like this.
Warner Brothers should do that, and I'm surprised that they haven't really done that, because like the stuff for the Variety piece where they were talking about should Ezra Miller stay, it was a bunch of like unnamed sources that kind of work with Warner Brothers. It wasn't like Warner Brothers coming out and saying like, this is what we think we should do. And I'm really surprised they haven't said anything yet, because this latest story is getting bigger and bigger. And it's like, you have to come out ahead of it somehow. I would never want to run a studio or have to do anything like that, because it's just the headaches of having to deal with shit like this would like completely throw me. But like, they have to come out ahead of it, and I don't know how much longer they can wait to see what happens. Like on the one hand, it's like, oh, we have a year until the movie comes out. A lot can change. But like if stuff doesn't change and you keep pushing back, like giving some kind of response, making some kind of action, then you're kind of like putting yourself in the corner. There's like nothing much you can do. And then you have like the court of public opinion being like, why haven't you done anything about them yet? And you know how vocal we are. So it's just like, that's gonna, public opinion is very vocal when it comes to stuff like this. So it's hard. So it's hard. I mean, I wouldn't want to be in their shoes at all, especially because it seems like, just judging from what I'm hearing, the studio really has something good, and they were probably like, oh, this kind of gets this right finally. But now they have to deal with this, and it just doesn't seem like it's getting any better.
Yeah, it reminds me of that meme that's like, this is fine, with the dog sitting on the fire, but the fire keeps going.
Someone posted that today. It was like DC and Warner Brothers, like, everything's fine. Just fire, just like surrounding. You brought up the Ansel Elgort thing too. I didn't really pay attention to how he was used during the press tour until someone pointed out to me that he really didn't do any individual interviews. He just did like group stuff with the cast, and he barely did any print interviews either. It was just all like kind of like just me and like the group. And I really didn't pay attention. That's how they did it, because like, that was going to get brought up if he was alone, and forced to answer questions like that. And the same thing with Armie Hammer. They just kind of quietly were like, yeah, he's in Death Note now, but don't pay attention.
He's there. Half of it will be the poster at the very end. He's just like hanging off the back of the cardboard.
I'm here.
But yeah, it creates these like nightmares, dude. It sucks.
Let's go to the other corner of Warner Brothers where other things are happening. And this is, or the other corner of DC, I should say. We're sticking with DC. But this is a really fascinating story that I am still very torn on. First of all, we're getting a Joker sequel that's called Folie à Deux. Is that how you, Folie à Deux?
No one knows. Not Phillips doesn't know how to pronounce it. I guarantee it.
Folie à
You
Deux.
gotta throw an accent on it. Like, Folie à Deux.
Folie à Deux. There you go. And then last night, two bits of news broke that were just, I don't get it. One is that the Joker follow-up is going to be a musical, and the other is that Lady Gaga is circling the role of Harley Quinn. I want to start off, before we get into this discussion, with saying I love Lady Gaga. I think she's extremely talented, and I like her as an actress. So, look, everything that I say after this is not against her. But, Gaius, when you read this news, what was your reaction?
I thought it was a prank. It didn't seem real. Like, I was like, oh, well, because initially I only saw that like she was circling the role, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, because like even in stuff like House of Gucci, which I thought was flawed, I thought she was fine in it, and I like The Star Is Born. I think she's a good actress. And then someone commented on like the G-Reels comments. They were like, yeah, she's in it because it's a musical, and I was like, wait, what? And then I went to go read more, and I was like, oh, they are making it a musical. And then I went on Twitter to see what everyone else thought, and it was a combination of like, this is the most brilliant idea ever, and what the fuck are they doing? Like, it just didn't make sense. It didn't make sense to a lot of people, and it's still kind of like, it is one of those things. Like, I guess if you could get it right, like more power to you if you can get it right. It just seems like a really interesting way to go. And like, I thought that we weren't even going to get a sequel. I thought they were like, no, it's a standalone movie. But I guess it made like over $1 billion, so they changed their mind. But yeah, it's like Jack on our podcast, he like texted me right away, and he's like, we don't need a sequel, and why is it a musical, and why is she gonna, he's just like so angry. I was like, save it for the show. But yeah, it was like, there was a mix of that kind of visceral, like, this doesn't make sense. But I try not to be a naysayer about some of this stuff upon just hearing it. Like, I think a good idea could come out of it if they do it right. I can really see like a kind of like dark, fun, and gritty movie musical with Joker and Harley Quinn that could be good.
Someone posted a fake poster of La La Land from years ago that they made, and it was called Ha Ha Land, and it had Joker and Harley Quinn dancing, and he retweeted it today and said, let me pull it up real quick. He goes, oh geez, of course it's not loading fast enough. Where did it go? I'll find it. But Sean, what are your thoughts on this?
So, as someone who really wasn't a fan of the first Joker movie, it was a very like fun ride of when the news of the sequel came out and everyone posting that image of the screenplay, and I was like, oh god, and it's called some pretentious title, and I'm just not. Oh, we're really doing this stuff, but everyone was just like praising it. Yes, this is gonna be amazing. I can't wait. And then watching everyone just absolutely eat each other last night when it turned out it was gonna be a musical with Lady Gaga.
It was like a bunch of rabbit dogs.
Society. And I started to like I don't know. I mean, at this point, it's really I have such mixed emotions about it because I wasn't a fan of the first, and like this one came out, and I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna see it. He's gonna try something again, Todd Phillips. I do think sometimes he like is. It was fine. Joker was fine, by the way. I'm not like absolutely saying it was the worst thing of all time, but for some reason, this seems like, oh, now they're going to just really try a lot of stuff. I think he's got some confidence after getting all those, Oscar noms and like, getting that money, and he's going to get a little bit excited with this one. And this looks worried. I mean, Joaquin signing on is still the moment where I'm like, okay, something's up with this thing where it's still pretty, like there's something there with him. Granted, actors can end up in bad movies sometimes. Joaquin, that's rare.
He hasn't signed on yet.
Oh, but I thought he was reading it. Wait, was that not? He
was reading it, but
he's reading it. He's not officially signed on yet, which I think is so funny that all this news is so premature. Because what if he gets through all of it? He's like, I don't want to do this. I don't know.
Oh my God, I'll be so happy about that. Oh, they put Leto in.
A little House of Gucci reunion. Oh God. Oh man. Please no.
I don't know if I've still processed it. Like, first of all, I love Lady Gaga. I think she would be really fascinating to see in a role like this, where it's kind of like, the crazy Harley Quinn, the psychotic breaks that she has, and just the intelligence that she also displays through the insanity that she also displays. But I guess my problem with this is I do think the first movie is very good, and I think that it is great because it is what it is. It's one movie. I worry that this movie is going to, whether it's a musical or not, is going to take away from the impact of the first one and dilute that by playing with the character a little too much and stretching what worked in the first one. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where to go with this one. It's so weird.
I'm really
How about Lady Gaga though? A Star Is Born, House of Gucci, Joker 2.
Joker.
Well, I kind of admire her. I kind of admire her choices though, because like they're not like Star Is Born is great. I won't say that House of Gucci as a film was like really great, but I thought that she held her own. It was fine. But it seems like she's pretty strategic about what she wants to pick when it comes to like films and stuff. And I know this will be only like the third, unless you want to count like what she is in Machete Kills, I think. But like I'm kind of confident in the fact that like she seems like she's a very smart woman, like knows like kind of like what would work, and that's why I want to be a little bit more confident in like what. I want to pick up what they're putting down like a little bit, but it's really twisted, weird news. I was just like, who was like, this is a great idea, but yeah,
I think
we're at.
Ms. Gaga thrives on less is more. I mean, if I think about like Gucci versus A Star Is Born. A Star Is Born, I think it's like a spectacular performance, and she's playing, an every woman. Like there's no granted she becomes a superstar, but there's no realism to her. Boom. This is what happens quite a lot. It's like Gucci, and some people love that performance. I think it's a little bit too much, and so I'm worried that this will be a little bit too much. And I don't know if she can handle like the big boisterous roles yet. Granted, we're judging 2 roles and possibly a third, but that's where I'm looking at it.
Isn't her whole persona like big and boisterous though? Like
that's what was
like,
so
I mean,
cool
that's
about A Star Is Born. Like that's the one thing like where it was just
because like
not doing a thing.
You're right. At the beginning of that movie, she is basically just playing like an every woman, and then of course she becomes like she knows the pop star thing because she knows that in real life. But like to watch her kind of play like a regular person and play her convincingly, I think that's why that performance is so good. That she kind of strips away all of the celebrity that's attached to being Lady Gaga in that.
Yeah.
She really has toned it down over the years too, as an individual. She's not as like crazy with meat dresses and stuff like back in the day.
Singing with Tony Bennett and stuff. Yeah,
yeah, it's true. There's actually a documentary on her on, I want to say it's Netflix, from years ago, that it leads up to her performance at the Super Bowl, and it's actually a really eye-opening and interesting documentary that I think gives you a different look at her. I really like her. I really appreciate her as an artist and stuff. I don't agree that she makes great decisions, because if she made great decisions, she would have pushed Jared Leto off a bridge during that movie.
Yeah, you know what? You're right.
Would you not?
You're right. You're kind of right, because I was like, I remember watching them in like press stuff together, and they're like talking about the roles. It's just the two of them, and she's like praising him, and I was like, "What movie did you see?" where you're praising him like he's so good.
She does
like
go
he's
over
in
the top with that. She always goes over the top with that. She's like, "You're not going to believe this. It's just, it's amazing what has been done."
Yeah, she's very dramatic. She's like, "Oh, it's Al Pacino." Like she's like that in every interview I saw her in talking about that movie.
Al Pacino was one of the best parts of that movie, so I'm totally on board with that.
That's true.
Or Jeremy Irons refusing to do an Italian accent. He's like, I'm just going to be British.
Let's move on to our next story. This has to do with two sequels that got titles. One of which what the fudge is this? And the second one is Sean's like upcoming most anticipated movie. But the first one is going to be Knives Out 2. Has a title called Glass Onion.
My friend said green onion to me, and I was like, "What?" He's like, "Wait, no, I saw it wrong." But either way, it's stupid.
It's a weird font, yeah.
It's just fascinating. Okay, this should be good. It's set in Greece. Things are happening. Who else is in it? There's Leslie Odom Jr., Edward Norton, Janelle Monáe, Dave Bautista, Catherine Hahn, Kate Hudson, Jennifer Henwick, and Madeline Klein. It's insane, that cast. The other one is Paddington 3. Paddington 3 will be directed by Dougal Wilson. And it is called Paddington in Peru.
Yeah, baby!
So I'll let you guys take this wherever you want to take
Paddington
it.
in Peru, baby! He's going back to his roots!
Sean, take us there.
I'm telling you, I can't wait for Paddington in Peru. It's not called Paddington 3, which is a big, bold choice, because the first one's Paddington, next one's Paddington 2. They didn't go with Paddington 3. They went Paddington in Peru. He's going back to where his family was from, where he was from, because he's from Peru, even though he has a British accent. Well, he's also a talking bear, so logic is thrown right out the window. But that was just one of I heard this, and it's just like, oh, this is going to be like a great story. I don't know if the whole family goes back, because we'd love to see Hugh Bonneville and Sally Hawkins, hanging with him again. I love these movies so much. This director has, I looked him up. He has done nothing really. I like a lot of short films.
That's very promising.
The ambition of the third film of a talking bear, where the first two are just 102% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's just oh, wait a minute, this is gonna get a little bit dicey. I'm still fully on board for this. Ben Whishaw as the talking bear. Let's go. I'll talk about Glass Onion for a second, because I really had some introspective thought on this one. Because it seems a glass onion, an onion, as Shrek has taught us, it has layers, and we peel back the layers of the mystery when the mystery is revealed. But the mystery would already be revealed if the onion's made of glass! And so we'd see the mystery. We just look at it, and the killer would be in there. Like Chris Evans. Sorry to spoil the first. But so I don't exactly know what the goal is. But then I remember Benoit Blanc, explaining the donut with another hole inside a donut and another donut inside there. And so it already was a silly, didn't make sense thing. So maybe Glass Onion does that as well. But then why would you show your cards right away? Have Benoit Blanc stumble over talking about a dumb metaphor of a glass onion like he did before as a bumbling detective. And that would have been more fun. And just call this Knives Out again, or Sharpen the Knives Out or something. I don't know.
Sharpen the Knives Out. I like that one.
There's certainly a lot to unpack there. Gaius, I'm going to throw that to you.
Good luck, buddy.
I don't think I can unpack. I'm excited for the Knives Out sequel because I really love the first one, and I saw the first one on opening day in a surprisingly packed theater. I didn't realize that movie was going to do as well as it did. Yeah. And so I remember when I saw it, I was like, there are a lot of people in here, like good, like a bunch of grown-ups and stuff. Good job, guys. I guess my only concern, I guess it shouldn't be a concern, but I kind of wish that this was getting like a full-on theatrical release like the first movie and not debuting on Netflix. And I know they spent a lot of money to get the second one and the third one. But I think it kind of, that first one proved that it could be very successful on the big screen. And I would have liked to have experienced it that way. I know sometimes with Netflix with these movies, they give it like a limited theatrical run. But I would have liked that. And I was actually looking at the cast for this one, and I was trying to like break down, like, do I like, just on paper, do I like this ensemble more, or do I like the ensemble that was in the first movie? Because there are some pretty good names in this one. Like, I'm all for like Edward Norton being there, and even like people like Dave Bautista will be interesting to kind of get them in the mix on something like this. Kate Hudson's kind of like, I can't think of the last thing I've seen her in that like that I can't remember. So it'd be nice to see her having fun. But yeah, I'm really excited for it. I really like that character, and I really hope. I wonder, the whole time that Knives Out did well, I was, did that for like people that don't like Rian Johnson? Did that like wipe the stink of The Last Jedi off of them for some people, or are they still like really upset about that?
The people that
that classic
against...
movie, are they upset about that classic movie?
The people that screamed against Last Jedi don't know directors' names. They were just
exactly.
Just like, no.
Diversity in a Star Wars movie. No. And they continue today.
And but congrats to Rian Johnson for taking his lumps, because I feel like he takes them a lot. He's like, yeah, whatever, it's fine. I tried a thing.
Glass Onion is just a weird title for me. I don't know.
It is.
I'm not even going to try to make something of it. It has like a storybook font too, which is like really fascinating to me. But yeah, I'm into it. I liked the first movie. I wasn't as big on it as a lot of people were, because I just didn't feel like it was as dynamic in terms of the reveals and stuff at the end. But I was fine with it. I had a good time. I bought a sweater from it because Chris Evans wore it and it looked nice. Oh, God, yes. So I look forward to buying another piece of clothing. Catherine Hahn's probably going to model the best clothing.
I think a lot of people got that sweater.
Yeah,
I think that was quite a hit at Christmas.
There's a $20 knockoff on Amazon. And then with Paddington 3, I haven't seen any of the Paddington movies, so I can't tell you anything about it. They're
really good. I mean, I guess the director who did the other ones is not doing this because he's doing Wonka with Timothée Chalamet. So he's busy on bigger things. But yeah, I mean, like, are they both 100% Rotten Tomatoes or close to it?
I know movies. 2. I think 2 is without a doubt, and then 1 might.
The answer to your question is that Paddington is currently at 97%, and Paddington 2 is at 99%.
Oh, it's that one.
Who was the one?
It's that one guy every time. I don't know his name, but he does it every time. He does the contrarian review.
Yo, don't call me out like that.
I was gonna say it's Joe.
He's like, let me blow up this real quick.
Yeah.
All right, true.
Let's move on to our last story here, and this is about another wonderful video game adaptation. This is Duke Nukem. So if you're not familiar with what Duke Nukem is, I am going to share a trailer for one of the most recent games real quick for a minute, so that we're all up to speed on what to expect from Mr. Duke Nukem. Enjoy.
My goodness, mature.
Can you hear it?
Yep.
Okay.
They used to tell stories of a man who saved the world. A man whose very presence sent aliens running back to their motherships. A man who disappeared without a trace. When the invaders came back, they came back angry.
Oh, it's a statue, isn't it?
Tore our planet apart, bit by bit. But they made one mistake. They
Oh,
What? What? Sorry.
They always pick the hot one.
What is this? Another butt.
another.
This.
Oh god.
Right in the jewels.
Did that come out in the 90s?
I forget what that one was. Duke Nukem Forever is what that one was called.
Right
And
in
that
the
was out
jewels.
in 2001, I believe.
That actually fits.
2011.
Oh, that is interesting.
It's very interesting. So Duke Nukem, if you're familiar with Doom, the first person game that's like one of the original like big ones that was out there. Duke Nukem was kind of like the crazier like rated X version of that. A little crazy. I remember playing it when I was growing up. I was allowed to play a lot of weird things. Kind of explains a lot if you know me today. But they are finally making a Duke Nukem movie, and this is set up at Lionsgate, I believe it is, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, no, Legendary. I'm sorry. Set up at Legendary, and Cobra Kai creators Josh Held, John Hurwitz, and Hayden Schlossberg are behind it. What's fascinating about this is they have been trying to make a Duke Nukem movie since back in the 90s. And there's been a lot of starts and stops and all of that. Just hasn't quite worked out. In 2008, most recently, I think I want to say it was Lionsgate at that point. I have Lionsgate in my head for some reason. But John Cena was attached to play Duke Nukem at that time. And John Cena is someone that I think would be really good at playing Duke Nukem right now. But first of all, Gaius, any experience with Duke Nukem, any knowledge of it? And number two, who do you think should play this character?
I had a lot of friends that played it. I didn't play it too much growing up. But I do remember hearing all the stories about them trying to make a movie for like a really long time. And I can't see anyone else but John Cena playing this part. Maybe The Miz. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of who else I can think of. But I know it seems tailor made for him a bit. So like, adapting stuff like this is always like video games and stuff is always kind of tricky because it's like there's not really like a high standard for how good they should be. But I mean, I guess there's a reason they keep trying because they must think that there's some profitability that can be made from it. I remember hearing stories about them trying to make a movie for a really long time, and my friends being very excited, and then those stories like dying off, and not that movie not happening. But yeah, I mean, and Legendary seems like the right place for it to be set up at. It seems like right up their alley too. But no, I would give it a shot. I give most even if I didn't play the game a lot growing up, I would give it a shot just to kind of see what they do with it. Yeah. But I can only see John Cena doing it. Like I was trying to think of anyone that even looks like that that is famous right now that would take on that role, and I can't think of anyone else other than him.
ComingSoon.net has a line that says Duke Nukem is a character that reads like a parody of a parody in today's climate, which I think is pretty funny. But Sean, your thoughts on Duke Nukem and who could play the character?
I am remarkably out of my depth right now. Like, I've never played a video game. Like, I don't know what any of this is. I'm looking at the picture of him to try to figure out who to cast. And all I can think of is, and I guess maybe he's just popular in the news this week, but just Chris Evans from Scott Pilgrim versus the World. And it just seems like just with the, because I'm looking at the square head with the hair like completely like masked up like that, and that's all I can really think of. But yeah, John Cena is probably the best go-to. In terms of this, if this is a parody of a parody, they could really play in and lean on that, because if they try to play this genuine, it seems like this would be an absolute disaster.
Yeah, I think so too. What's the guy's name for Reacher from the Amazon show?
That's what I was thinking. Alan Richardson.
Yes. That guy would work too. Actually, he actually looks the part. Probably, and he's younger and he's up and coming.
Sycamore tree.
I also was thinking Alexander Ludwig for some reason. I'm like trying to think of younger actors that I think could do the action role and allow them to continue to build. I feel like if they're going to want, everyone wants to start a franchise these days, right? So
Yeah.
I just feel like maybe we might be too John Cena out with these big roles.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would like to see. I love that Alan Richardson idea, though. That's a
really
genius
good.
idea.
Yeah, because he's huge already.
Yeah, he is a huge.
Yeah,
dude.
I'm sure. I wouldn't be surprised if people were like, "Circle that movie. We need to get around that." throw yourself out there.
Kind of crazy though that we're getting another video game adaptation. But hey, welcome to the world today. We're looking for existing IP to adapt. That is the name of the game.
I mean, they do well though. I mean,
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I'm with you. They do well. So people they have built-in fans, so people are going to go see them.
Yep.
Let's talk about rants and raves. We'd like to end, guys, with being either pissed off or really excited. I am going to start off with my rant today, and this is about Pixar. And look, I want to go on the record as saying I love Pixar. I think they are the best at what they do. I love Disney. I'm a Disney adult. There was an article today about dissecting the Disney adult, and it made me feel like I was like an other, but whatever. The thing with Pixar that is really frustrating is when they miss the mark a little bit, that we're not allowed to criticize them. And the reason I say this is because I have been posting my social reactions to TikTok, just as really short videos with sound, with like a song behind them. And it's just literally the words of my tweet with my social reaction on the TikTok. When I tell you that this one took off for Lightyear right away, and it went insane, people saying just based on his other reviews, he that makes a lot of sense why he didn't like this one. It's made for kids. What do you expect? And someone even saw that I had like the pride flag in my thing, and they said that your Twitter profile picture makes you unreliable or something like that. I'm like, well, this is really nice and vitriolic today. But it's, at the end of the day, like Pixar's pumping out a lot of movies. So there's going to be some duds and there's going to be some that are better than others. And I think that's okay. There's still quality. It's still a beautifully animated movie. It is a solid, movie for kids that are going to absolutely love it. But with the level of emotional impact that a lot of the other films have had, it doesn't quite live up to that for me. So enough about Lightyear. But looking at Pixar in general, I'm also really pissed off about the fact that this is the one they've put in theaters, right? But we had 3 really good Pixar movies, movies, right? We had starting with Soul, and then Luca, and then Turning Red. Am I missing any? I think they're the 3 that went straight to
Disney Plus.
And they're really good movies. And if you look at Rotten Tomatoes, not that Rotten Tomatoes is everything, they're all certified fresh above 90%. And as of yesterday, Lightyear was at 82%. And I'm just saying that it's still at 82%. But I'm just saying that, it's not Pixar level. So obviously people are agreeing with me. So listen, Pixar, like any director, any actor, any studio, any franchise, Harry Potter, is going to be able to, it needs to be able to have duds here and there. They're not going to hit it out of the park every time. We saw that with Star Wars. Come on. It's amazing to me, like how crazy defensive people get. And the best was these people, not to put myself on a pedestal here, they didn't see the fucking movie. They're complaining and saying all this shit, and you haven't seen the movie yet. Someone literally said, how do you even know? From seeing 30 minutes at CinemaCon. I was like, I saw the movie. And
saw the whole thing.
Yeah. And the kid goes, I'm assuming it's a kid just based on the profile. And he goes, are you, what are you, some kind of critic who gets to see them early? And I was like, yes.
Literally,
yes, I am. Yes, I am.
It's just we got to give these movies room and be able to admit when things aren't good. And, and again, at the end of the day, again, that's just my opinion. Other people are clearly loving it. The next person's going to love it. That's fine. That should be okay. But it's just, I was surprised, but also not surprised with it. I go into every Disney movie in my head being like, God, another damn 5 out of 5. This is going to be insane. Because I love Disney movies. I love them. Yeah. And I think they're top quality. So for this, I gave it a 2 out of 5. And for me, that's sacrilege. I'm repenting to, Britney Spears right now. But just a lot going on. So
I think
Sean,
I audibly guessed when I saw your
you
review.
audibly guessed at what?
Your review. I mean, because I wouldn't judge it. I'm like, yo, it's his opinion. That, but when I swiped to go see, I wonder what the score is. And I was like, oh no, 2 out of 5. But you weren't you weren't the only one though. I mean, like, I think if you look more on like social media, you're not the only one that is kind of feeling that way about it. So it's good. I mean,
I don't do this often, but I was looking at Rotten Tomatoes actual reviews, not just the score, and I went because I was like, who else said that this wasn't good? And the very top at that time earlier today, or maybe it was yesterday, review that was under Rotten was like not word for word, but it essentially was what I said, and I was like, thank you. Like, I'm not crazy. I am crazy. I'm not crazy, but I don't know. Speaking of crazy, you have a rave about Barry, Sean.
Whoo, boy. In a world of prestige TV where everything is the best series ever and this is going to be the best thing ever and everything like that, Barry just flies over all of them. Like, I'm telling you, Barry, like, this is the rare show that has just been better every season, and this season got better every episode. I can't get into too much, obviously, because, you know, it gets too crazy, but I just think that, like, this is just something where, you know, it is a comedy. It truly is a comedy at its bones, but it is a dark, viciously dark comedy that is unforgiving, but just like so damn satisfying in how it's created. Bill Hader is directing these magnificently. He is straight up directing all of season 4. So it's just like, this is just going to get better. I don't know where it's going to go from here. Like, it's just unbelievable. But this show, like, you know, if I've talked to a few people that were not struggling with season 1, but they said, I kind of stopped after season 1. I think season 1's spectacular as well, by the way, but it's just going to get better and better. So if you're someone working through it, just absolutely keep through, because man, oh man, did I just see like the best season of television ever.
What is that on again?
HBO Max.
HBO.
Half-hour show or hour show?
Half hour, baby.
Oh, I'm in. There he is.
He's like, it's my sweet spot.
That's perfect. I love it.
30 minutes.
Guys, I'm very upset to see what you have listed here as your rant, but go for it with the Jurassic franchise.
All right, I'm only saying this after seeing Dominion and then like going back to like, you know, when we were talking about it on my podcast last week, when we were just talking about each of the films after the first movie, we were talking about there's stuff to enjoy in like The Lost World, or like there might be a little bit to enjoy in Jurassic Park 3. Like, overall, that franchise outside of the first movie has just been mostly mediocre, and we've allowed it to make a ton of money for being not that great. Like, this one is probably going to make close to $1 billion worldwide, and it's not that good. I mean, Fallen Kingdom made $1.3 billion worldwide, and that movie is not really good. And I just wonder if it keeps being successful, will they keep cranking them out? Because I kind of just want them to kind of put it to bed at this point until they have like a really, really good idea to keep it going, other than dinosaurs are cool. Let's build something around that.
Locust.
Yeah. I mean, like, and like my buddy brought it up too. He was like, that's crazy how that, like, even something like Jurassic Park 3, which a lot of people don't even like, made money and turned a profit. So it's just like, you know, like a lot of those sequels, a lot of that franchise has managed to just be like casually mediocre and then get by on like everyone just kind of like, I guess, hoping to recapture the nostalgia of the first movie, and then we just keep chasing that and it just doesn't happen. But after this one, I was like, I would just really like it to be done, and because I can't see like what else they could do. But then I'm looking at all the box office returns. It's like Universal has no reason to be like, well, no, like despite that 29% on Rotten Tomatoes right now, because it dropped to 29%. I like looked it up before we got on today. Despite all that, like, we're gonna make close to $1 billion on this one too. So like, what do you guys know? I guess, but I would just love for, if they're gonna keep it going, just have a really fresh idea to keep it going, rather than just cranking them out because they're continuing to make money, but the quality of the movies aren't improving at all.
Godzilla versus Kong versus Jurassic World.
Okay, well, I think we just solved the problem.
there you go.
In the words of Eliza Hamilton, take a break.
Please.
Please take a break
through
from this. Listen, always fun to chat about the craziness going on in the world. I want to share one other thing here back to Lightyear that someone tweeted. And it's sending me. I always check to make sure that we didn't miss any like late breaking news that we're going to be pissed off we didn't cover. And this is someone tweeted, Tim Allen will always be Buzz Lightyear. Disney has destroyed another great iconic character due to wokeness. And someone responded, yes, indeed. Nothing screams wokeness like replacing a white guy with a white guy.
That's so true.
Oh my God.
The internet.
They literally replaced him with Captain America, the ultimate nationalist. Like, they're really going for like, oh my God.
Insane.
Yeah, I saw earlier someone was like, oh, they replaced him because of Tim Allen's like political views. And then someone was like, they're doing like a Disney Plus series with the Santa Claus and he's going to be in it. So it has nothing to do with that.
Yeah,
he's a younger version. He's a younger version of the character. Calm down.
This is a slight spoiler, but it's in the new trailers. They say at the very beginning in 1994, 1995, Andy saw a movie with his favorite character, Buzz Lightyear. This is that movie. That's what this is.
Oh, that makes sense.
And I love that. That's fantastic marketing. That should have been out there for the past year.
Yeah, it should have been.
I thought he was a real person in the world of Andy's universe.
I thought so too. That's what I was thinking.
I'm pretty damn pissed off right now. I feel like I was taken for a ride. Wow. I'm giving this 2 out of 5. I haven't seen it yet.
I think I told other people that as like fact. I was like, yeah, this is what it's about.
Buddy, I moved in there with such confidence. I was just like, no, you don't get it. You just don't get it.
You don't understand. It's really meta. It's fantastic. Let's take you for another ride here, Sean, with the top new releases this week. Halftime, the Jennifer Lopez documentary that premiered opening night of Tribeca hits Netflix. Brian and Charles hits theaters. Lightyear hits theaters. Blowback hits limited theaters. Cha-Cha Real Smooth hits Apple TV+. I love that movie so much. Good Luck to You, Leo Grande hits Hulu. I also really enjoyed that movie. So please check that out. Jerry and Marge go large to Paramount+. And Spiderhead, the Chris Hemsworth, Miles Teller film, right? Hits Spiderhead. Yep. It's Spiderhead. It's Netflix.
They launched a streaming service for just that one movie. $10 a month to just watch Spiderhead constantly.
That would be a great marketing ploy.
Rotation.
Who would get that?
People.
Oh man.
People. Gaius, once again, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure to chat with you. It's been too long. Hopefully it won't be too long moving forward, but tell us once again where we can find you.
Well, you can find G Reels on Instagram. It's G_REELZ. We got the Back to the Blockbuster podcast with my buddy Owen and Jack. And then on Joblo, I am the morning news editor. So first thing in the morning, 4 a.m. until 9 or 10. That's all me. Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
That sounds horrendous.
That shift. They always, do you want a later one? I'm like, I'm used to it now. My clock has already changed to wake up at 3:30 in the morning. There's no going back. So I'm in it to the long haul.
Once Guy at the Movies gets profitable, I'll be putting those people in place because right now it's me. I'm like, what is this at 5 a.m. that just dinged on my Twitter? God damn it, hold on. It's a lot of fun. I'm in a meeting at work and I'm like, oh shit. Sean, what are we going to be doing on Patreon this weekend?
Well, this weekend I'm going to be fucking moving, dude.
What are we going to be posting that we're recording before this weekend?
Oh, that. Sorry, little peek behind the curtain there. Whoops. We're going to probably do a spoiler episode of Jurassic World Dominion.
With Dom from Talking TV Podcast.
Dom Talking TV Podcast, yes.
Stay tuned for that. Join the Patreon. It's currently $2 a month if you want to jump in for all the fun, and then we will be sharing it wider, way down the road, potentially. I'm going to keep you on the, guessing there. Will we, will we not? But we have a lot of fun things we want to talk about with that, so we'll dive into it more. Once again, thank you guys for being here. All of you that have paid attention. I always say that. All of you that have paid attention to us. All of you that have tuned in tonight and all of you listening, we will see you next week. The Guy at the Movies podcast is a joint venture between Math Teacher Movies and Guy at the Movies. You can catch new episodes weekly right here wherever you're listening to this one. Subscribe so you never miss a beat.